with the prayer and pledge led by Councilmember Bryant.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Let's bow our heads. Please join me. Our precious Heavenly Father, we are so thankful that you brought us here together safely tonight to deliberate in the city's business. We ask that you would guide our decisions, protect every citizen in our community and every employee and everyone under the sound of my breath. We ask these things in your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilmember Bryant. Madam Clerk, for the roll call.
Councilmember Forbes.
Present.
Councilmember Bryant.
Present.
Councilmember Bench.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Present.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Present.
Councilmember Millen.
Present.
Councilmember Balls.
Present.
Councilmember Allstash.
Present.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
We have 9 members present, 0 absent.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to read some rules regarding the audience. Obviously, good evening. This is a public meeting, so we ask that all members of the audience please remain quiet and refrain from speaking, interrupting, or otherwise disrupting the meeting. Also, it's a good time to remind everyone, and maybe especially those of us sitting up here, to please turn off or silence all electronic devices so they will not interfere with the meeting. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple announcements. Want to remind everyone that the yard waste collection is the same day as your regular trash day, and yard waste materials must be in paper yard waste bags or in a 35-gallon or a smaller container, not weighed more than 50 pounds, and it must have a yard waste sticker such as this. These are available in the city clerk's office. Put this at the front of your can. And City Hall will be closed July 4th for the Independence holiday. Mayor, that takes us to public input.
All right, thank you. Welcome to all those who have signed up to address council tonight. Thank you for sharing with us your thoughts and input. Hearing from the citizens we represent is very important to us. We ask that you speak slowly and clearly so we don't miss what you have to say. When called to the podium, please introduce yourself and state your home address. Let us know if you will be speaking solely for yourself or on behalf of a group. All speakers will have a 3-minute limit, which is timed by the clerk, so be sure to cover your main points first. We ask that your presentation be courteous and respectful to the members of the public present, to the citizens watching SGTV, and to the council, so we can give serious consideration to your concerns. All follow-ups will be referred to city staff. Thank you. Madam Clerk, the first one.
Yes, Mayor. Our first speaker is Eric Carbon.
My name's Eric Carbon. I live at 1003 Mackinac, and I'm speaking solely on behalf of myself. I have 2 concerns tonight. First, the proposed budget for fiscal year 2020 was presented by the city manager to council on April 29th of this year. At council meetings on May 6th and May 20th, OMB made presentations of the proposed budget document. At the council meeting on May 20th, council by resolution unanimously approved the proposed budget with no discussion. The resolution whereby council approved the budget consists of 14 pages and takes numbers and other information from the 300-page or so proposed budget document. The resolution is not worded so as to say explicitly that council approves the proposed budget as set forth in the proposed budget document. Before passing the resolution, did council make sure that the amounts and other information contained in the resolution match exactly the amounts and other information contained in the proposed budget document? If so, how did it do that? My second concern, in the recently approved 2020 budget, in the section for general fund public services, there is no personnel complement budgeted for traffic engineering, but there is an expenditure budgeted for traffic engineering in the amount of $30,788. If there are no positions in traffic engineering to be funded by the general fund, what is this $30,788 expenditure for? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carbon. Your questions are referred to city staff.
Our next speaker is Angie Miller.
Hi, my name is Angie Miller. I'm the president of the Mid-Michigan Area Labor Council with an office located at 1614 Mershon. I'm here to speak to you about some of the projects that labor has been involved with recently to help strengthen our community. So last month, on May 11th, the National Association of Letter Carriers held their 27th annual Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive. During this year's event, 42,000 pounds of food were collected at the Cumberland Post Office site. The food collected at this site was donated to Hidden Harvest, which then was distributed out to our community. So to everyone in the community who contributed, we'd like to say thank you. Then on May 21st, the United Way, in cooperation with Labor, held their second annual food packaging event. The event was held at UAW Local 699 and was fully funded by Labor and brought together 90 volunteers from across the community to pack 36,000 meals over a 3-hour period of time. The meals were then distributed to Saginaw, Genesee, and Bay counties, with 12,000 of those meals staying right here in our Saginaw community. Many of our individual local unions and their members also regularly participate in other community projects and service to help strengthen the city of Saginaw and Saginaw County. It's my hope and the hope of everyone in labor that we can help make this community stronger and provide support to those in need. Through our efforts and those of many like-minded individuals and groups, we're making a stronger Saginaw that we all can be proud of to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Our next speaker is Thomas Roy.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and city manager. My name is Thomas Roy, 4283 North Autumn Ridge, Saginaw, Michigan, and I'm the president of the Saginaw Area Fireworks. It's approximately about 30 years ago when we started the fireworks being on their own. Nick and former Mayor Carol Cottrell started the fireworks, and I'm proud to be president of the fireworks again this year. We plan on a great show, a fantastic show. Last year we had a little financial problems, and Covenant was graciously enough to step in and help us out, as well as this year they're doing the same. The one thing about the fireworks this year is every year we do the little things extra. And this year we've sort of transitioned to a Family Freedom Festival, where we want to start basically at 8 o'clock in the morning. We haven't started yet, but we'd like to start things at 8 o'clock in the morning and go on throughout the whole day, just having the finale being the fireworks. We think that bringing people to Saginaw is a great opportunity for everybody in Saginaw, and it's a great opportunity to show that the city of Saginaw has a lot to offer. This year, we have a castle, not a castle, but a sand sculpture that we do on the island, as well as we're going to have the great giant big flag, again on the Court Street Bridge. And of course, around 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, we're going to have a food festival with a bunch of food trucks. We're planning more activities every year to bring more people on the island and to bring more festivities to the city of Saginaw. I am honored to be here. I want to thank everyone that's involved, from the late Ken Boomer with basically the Tim Hortons. They do a great job. Also all the volunteers that help us and all the money that that's collected. This year we're going to have a great show again, and we hope that everyone will come out and watch. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Madam Clerk?
Next on our list is Christopher Kubiak. However, he did call and cancel after the deadline. So we'll go on to Pam Clark.
Good evening, City Council. I am here on my behalf as a city resident at 1939 Brockway Street, but also representing Delta College. We have our grand opening of the new downtown Saginaw Center. Wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Certainly, City Council has been invited there, but we want all of the residents here in the city and countywide to come down. We do have a lot of festivities, very similar to what the fireworks are doing. We are trying to showcase the downtown area, so we have a lot of free activities at the college itself, tours of the building, as well as outside activities, bounce houses, free ice cream, sure to sugar up your kids or grandkids and send them back home with you. And then we have rented a Stars bus, and that will be traveling between us, SVRC Marketplace, which is their first anniversary, and then they're going over to Hoyt Library and Castle Museum. So we are trying to partner and collaborate with all of the great amenities in downtown and bring our faculty, staff, as well as our students down and new students to get them interested in the facility. And of course, we're trying to encourage enrollments at the college. We have a lot of great programs down there. So we hope that you will all stop by, but also encourage all of your friends, families, neighbors to come down as well. And we wanted to also thank all of the city employees who have helped us. City manager's office, we have dealt with the roads department, we are closing off Franklin Street, we're putting up roadside banners or the roadway banners. So we have dealt with clerk's office and treasurer's office. So everybody that we have dealt with on staff, which I don't know if the city council hears that a lot, but they have all been very wonderful and helped us with all the steps we needed to get through the process. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Our next speaker is Debbie Melkonian.
Welcome again.
Good evening. I'm Debbie Melkonian, 2116 Adams Boulevard. I'm representing our association as well as residents on Borland Court. At the May 29th Adams Boulevard meeting, one resident came up with a comment during the agenda item which speaks to resident comments. It was Judy Hurst at 254 Borland Court raised the issue regarding 221 Borland Court. She described the condition of this home and the number of years this has been a concern for everyone that lives on the court. Someone from the audience then suggested that a letter be written and sent to all council members and as well as the city manager. The letter was drafted and sent to every person that was at the meeting, which were about 43 people, asking to sign the letter, send it to each council member, and drop it off or mail it to City Hall. I talked to each person living on Borland Court, informing them of what was going on and if they would sign a petition supporting this endeavor. There was 100% interest and gratitude to make this happen by each resident. There are 19 homes on Borland Court, with many being homeowners. The actual homeowner of 221 Borland Court, Charles Raymond, walked away from the property about 5 years ago. No taxes have been paid for 9 years, and the taxable value is zero. There are 9 special assessments found. An auction was held last year, and there was no interest from a buyer. After further looking into the information about this property, I found out that the Land Bank County now owns it. Tom Miller Jr. contacted me last week and updated me on the status of this home. He listed a variety of things which needs to be done prior to a possibility of demolition and inferred that they were aware of this and it would be addressed. I explained that there were several individuals that wanted their voices be heard and would continue to pursue this. Something must be done as soon as possible as we yet begin another summer. We urge that you look into our concern and that the City of Saginaw move to resolve the matter post haste. If the city is spending any monies to demolish decrepit housing, please see the wisdom in spending dollars in viable neighborhoods like the Adams Boulevard area. We urge that you add this demolition, move it to the top of the list, and make it a priority as soon as possible. A few residents have shown interest in purchasing the vacant lot once the home is removed, and had ideas how it could be used. Behind me in the back row and throughout the audience are members of the Adams Boulevard Association, and there will be Worland Court residents addressing this group this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melconian.
Next on our list is Mike Sullivan.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Sullivan. I'm Vice President of the Adams Boulevard Area Neighborhood Association, and apparently I follow Debbie wherever she goes. And as I see, many of you have attended our meetings previously. I spoke with Land Bank today, and initially I was told that the property was not on the demolition list for this year. I received a call back later on this afternoon stating that the process had begun and that they were looking into consumers and doing another inspection and all. So hopefully they said it would be taken care of this year. That is one of the problems that we have in our neighborhood, but like most of the neighborhoods in the city over the last 40 years, there's been a steady decline. And our neighborhood association is committed to trying to reverse that 40-year trend and taking a stand. A few bad renters generally get into a neighborhood and cause the residents to think about moving out. And we are determined to make sure that the bad apples will leave our neighborhood eventually, and that we will prevail and the neighborhood will stand as is. In that regard, we hope that we will get support from the city departments, the city manager, and this council for code enforcements, policing, and new ordinances if necessary. And hopefully we'll be back here with all kinds of good news for you over the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Our next speaker is Arthur Aiken.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Arthur Aiken Jr. My wife, 25 years, and we reside at 253 Borland Court. I'm here representing the Adams Boulevard Homeowners Association, and I just want to offer my support to the association on the eyesore that my wife and we drive by every day. 221 Borland is a abandoned home where the lot is broken windows, unkept yard, grass, various farming critters, cats in and out we're witnessing that every day. Something that I would like to see is that once it is demolished, I would like to see that lot turned into some type of pavilion, perhaps a covered pavilion, maybe a grilling area, perhaps horseshoes and things of that nature. Perhaps maybe even a community garden. That's something that the homeowners on Borland Court can maintain. I would like to see this eyesore turned into an eyesight. We've been living there for 10 years, and we would like to live there for another 10 years, but we would like to see some changes within that association and that dead-end court. Again, thank you for the time, for listening to me. We do understand that this is located within the county system and such forth. We might need city support for this matter. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken.
Our final speaker tonight is Deidre Knox.
Good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Deirdre M. Knox, and I live at 228 Borland Court. I've been living there for about 11 years, close to 12. I live right across the street from this abomination, I'll use the term. And what I am completely concerned about is the height of the grass, the overwhelming growth of ivy and so forth. For me, this is a serious matter because we do have small children playing around, and easily a child can be dragged into that area and you not even know that they're back there. That concerns me quite a lot, and many of the animals that are there, raccoons, possum, rats, etc., this causes a very serious problem for residents who have children, because once bitten, the problem can be even worse. So I would like to see it torn down for that reason as well. I took pictures, but was not able to bring them for, I was told that I couldn't bring them unless I had 13 copies, and who could do that in 2 minutes? So in other words, I took the pictures to show how much of the overgrowth has occurred in this situation, and that unless we can get something done, we ought to think at least about children and how that might occur. There are people that sometimes sleep there. There are people who are, it was once a golf salesperson or whatever, and there are lots of people there stealing the things out. So who's there is a question, because it's not any of the residents, and what they might do in our neighborhood is of concern to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Knox.
And Mayor, with that, we are now at remarks of council.
Okay, today, let me catch up here. We are beginning with Councilmember Milne. I want to remind council members of the 3 minutes. Councilmember Milne.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Since the last meeting, I attended 2 public events I wanted to mention. Last Wednesday was the Light Up the City kickoff event on Ojibwe Island, and we had a majority of our council members attended. We had a table there, and there was a lot of citizen engagement going on. They were very happy to see us, and it was a very good event. We had wonderful weather. It was a window in all the rainy days we've had, so it was a real good kickoff event. The other one was Jazz on Jefferson. It was 2 weeks ago Wednesday. Not quite as good a weather. It wasn't rainy, but it was just rainy looking enough. It scared off some of the car owners for the classic car show. But other attendance was pretty good. By personal checking, some of the food vendors were already sold out when we got there a little late. So looked like another real good Jazz on Jefferson. City items, I wanted to mention the old Budget Motel over on East Genesee is down to a concrete slab now. That's just one of the continuing blight elimination efforts from the city. And I wanted to let the Havana people know, I personally went over, I have seen the house you're discussing. Point well taken on the condition on it. And our new fiscal year starts July 1st, so I would look for that to progress as the staff has already looked into it. I wanted to mention to Mr. Harden, thank you for being along with the council members, someone who reads all the way through our budget. As you said, 300 and some pages. And sometimes the connections in that budget can be hard to make. I can't address your specific one, but I do know that sometimes we will have a budget line item that covers the overhead for a department, and the employees may be funded out of separate funds that we receive from either the state government, the federal government, or some type of grant. So an item that looks like it's hanging out loose in space may be taking care of the phones, the lights, and the office space for people covered under another item. So thank you again for wading through something that, let me tell you, as when I was a first-year council person, it's a daunting task to see that first budget document. And that's my comments for this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Scherzer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the city has been busy for the last few weeks. I too was at Jazz on Jefferson. I'm so glad it didn't rain. But also at Light Up the City, and Councilmember Ostash and I had a little fun. Well, actually, and Brett, the Mayor Pro Tem, we were on the dance floor.
All the time.
She said all the time. But it was a great event. This past weekend, the Greek Festival took place at St. Demetrius Greek Orthodox Church. I know that it's not in the city, but it is a great cultural event for anyone in the county to go to. And if you haven't been there, it was their 41st year. I was on the dance floor there too. I do want to say congratulations to Mustard Seed. The Business After Hours was held at the Mustard Seed last week. It is great to see improvements and things changing in the community, but your groundbreaking and the new addition that's going to go up is just beautiful. So congratulations to them, and as well to Delta College. When we took the tour in the very cold winter, I was still impressed. So look forward to seeing that grow and open up right in downtown. The last thing I want to do is invite all of my fellow council members, city staff, maybe the manager, we'll see. The Zeta Phi Beta is having a food giveaway in partnership with Hidden Harvest, the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan. It is sponsored by Associated Builders and Contractors and North Saginaw Charter Academy on June 28th. It is a Friday. We're going to be there at CAC on Perkins, starting at 8:30 in the morning, packing food, and then the food giveaway will start about 10 o'clock. So even not the residents or anyone in the audience tonight, if you can come out and support, we do need volunteers. Please, we would love to have you. That is all I have.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank all of our public speakers who spoke. Ms. Dale, we've got them in every neighborhood. I understand the frustration from eyesores and houses that need to be torn down, and I hope that we can soon resolve it. Because I've got a bunch in my neighborhood we need to resolve, and they steady burning them. So it's not just in your neighborhood, it's in all neighborhoods. This week, or the last couple of weeks have been busy. On the 10th, Saginaw Foundation had their annual board meeting at CAC. It was a fabulous turnout for those who attended. I'm sure you got a sneak preview on monies that was available for our neighborhood associations. And they've got some things that they got to do to get this little money, but they seem like they're real simple and easy. So I hope that our neighborhood associations will go for these, will go after this money. I also attended Light Up the City. This year we did something entirely different. You know, I had a brainstorm, and I said, I think that we need to get in the community. And so we did. We set a table up at Light Up the City in the mayor's absence. I did my favorite thing, was holler, let's get this party started. And I danced, and we danced all night long, and the citizens were so pleased. This was the first of many activities that I hope that my fellow colleagues will help me support. I brought up this morning, I would really love to do Friday Night Live. If the community knows who we are, then they won't be afraid to ask us any questions. So we want to get into the community and do some things in the community. That's it, Mayor. I've been laying low lately.
Councilmember Bench.
Thank you, and good evening to everyone. Thank you to our public speakers for being here. Ms. Miller, thank you for being here. It's always encouraging to hear everything that our labor unions are doing in the community to make Saginaw a better place. Mr. Roy, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to all the volunteers with the Saginaw fireworks. You guys always do well, always do a good job, and to hear that you guys are expanding the day's activities is very exciting, especially for my young family who will be happy to participate, so thank you for that. Ms. Malconian, Mr. Sullivan, and the others, Ms. Knox, hi. Thank you for coming and bringing your concerns. We got your letters, and I'm actually on the Abana website, or the email list, so I was reading, you know, what Deb had to say, and then simultaneously getting a response from the city with from John Stempel, who had been over there to look at the situation. But the most recent update that we've been told is that it is on the demo list and that they are moving forward at the county. Brenda's right, they are in every neighborhood, houses like this, but fortunately for your neighborhood, you have a neighborhood association that has numbers and is willing to organize around an issue like that. So please, just make sure that you direct those concerns to the county land bank and keep that pressure on them, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who own it, and they are the ones who are going to have to take it down. And it's hard for us because it is in the city and we want to be able to do something and address the issues. But we try to work with them, and hopefully they'll be getting on it since they see how many people are coming forward and concerned, and it's not an issue that's going to go away until the House does. So thank you for being vocal and looking out for your neighborhood the way you do. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the Meet Up and Eat Up program is a free breakfast and lunch program for the young people in the community, and it's from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. at pretty much all of our neighborhood schools, the Boys and Girls Club. You can look on the school district's website to get the specific locations, but they're serving breakfast from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, and they are also serving lunch from noon to 1. So if you know anyone who is in need, you've got some kids who maybe have a little too much free time and not enough resources at home, make sure that you're sharing that and make sure you direct them to those resources, because unfortunately for some of our students, the best access they have to a good meal is at school, and when school is out, they don't get that. So it's a good program, and it was really good to see something like that being offered, because it's hard when you do it on a volunteer basis, because you always find locations. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Bryant.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. All the letters have been placed. If you guys have looked in the riverfront corridor, you will see letters that are all over the city. And it does spell Saginaw. So really excited about that. Art and About always brings us our offshoot of the Riverfront Development Commission, and they always bring us something exciting, something to highlight what our city is. And it's beautiful, it's vibrant, just like those letters in there. So if you get a chance, I know there's one at the county courthouse, there's one at the Dow, they're all over the place. But the intent of it, people have been asking, are there maps? There are no maps. It is intended for residents and those who are visiting the riverfront corridor to see, with nothing, no prompting, to see what is this letter doing here. And then, just like we kind of did with the painted pianos, then they'll start discovering them and playing them. It was really cool last year. Just a couple things. I want to piggyback on Councilman Milne. Light Up the City was great. Thank you to all the council members who attended, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for taking the initiative and organizing that. It was good. We had lots of interaction with our citizens, and that's what this job is all about, interacting with them and addressing their concerns. Ms. Malconian and the neighbors from Adams Boulevard, we've heard you. I think there's been a little bit of movement, but when issues like that do come up, don't hesitate to contact your county commissioner as well. Let them know. I'm not sure if that was part of it, but let them know. There's some things that we can do here, but we can't do everything here. There's lots of different levels to government and red tape, so make sure you hit all levels of local government. That kind of speaks to Mr. Akins. We can't really tell the county what it would be. There's some things I think in that neighborhood. Ultimately, we want the houses that are in ill repair, we want people to live in those houses, because we know that things happen, that when we tear down 1,400 homes, what can happen to the ripple effects of that. And I think we'll be talking more about that in the future as it relates to our rubbish bill. But I did want to also highlight some of the work that Gary Dawkins and the Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy is doing. They're going to be having a cleanup this weekend, the 20th through the 22nd, in the Houghton Jones neighborhood. And his telephone number, if you have any questions, is 989-752-1660. Again, 752-1660. Please join them. I intend to spend some of my weekend. I can't spend the whole weekend, but I will be out there with them. We know that there's some issues that we need to see addressed over there. Also, piggybacking on Councilman Milne, the old hotel being torn down, it looks great. It absolutely looks great. I worked right across the street there at the one of the Board of Education buildings for over a decade, and it was a big eyesore. Can you imagine what happens in a home, in a neighborhood, and times that by maybe about 75, 80? What's going on in that neighborhood? That's just, whew, man. So it's good that that's down and there's no more of that activity going on. Also, just major kudos to Pastor Chet Atkins, Gideon Christ Community Church. They have a community garden that they're working on at 400 block of South Park. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Angie and our labor community for the much good work that they do all the time, much without acknowledgement. There's a lot of stuff that they do real quiet. I'm not only thrilled to welcome Delta College to downtown Saginaw, but I'm also excited to hear that Saginaw Public School District is moving their incredibly important Success Academy to Ricker Center. I believe that both of these changes are going to be really great for our neighbors, and I'm so thankful for Delta's dedication to Saginaw and for providing opportunities to our citizens. I'm also really glad to see so many folks from Adams Boulevard here tonight. To let their voices be heard. You all are experts in taking action to improve your neighborhood, and I'm looking forward to hear more about what the county plans to do with this particular eyesore in your community, hoping for change soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Astes.
Okay, good evening. Just to reiterate everything that my fellow council members have said, and I also too was at Jazz on Jefferson, and I did get my strawberry shortcake. That's always a famous, anybody that goes there knows that. And also attended Light Up the City. That was a great event, and it was just really good to talk to our citizens. It gave them that one-on-one that they look for with us. Saginaw Fireworks, thank you for coming tonight. I will be down there and looking forward to it. I'm excited to hear that you're going to have a lot of events going on throughout the day because it gives people other things to do that travel into our city from many miles for the fireworks. And then also Delta College, thanks for coming. I'm going to be there this weekend as well, so I'm very excited. That's where I did do my first 2 years of college, so looking forward to that. Something else that has been mentioned tonight, Lawn Chair Film Festival has started down in Old Town Saginaw. They kicked off last night with Bohemian Rhapsody. They will be every weekend from now until August 4th, and they have live entertainment at 8 o'clock until the show starts at dusk. One other thing that I do have a passion for in our city and just a conversation that I like to keep going, I would like to mention too that June 27th is going to be National HIV Testing Day, so just remember that the Hearth Home right here on Hoyt Avenue does provide those free services for our residents and also a lot of good information on that topic as well. Another thing, Counter Cruise is also doing their bike ride, so if anybody wants to participate in that, I've done a lot of it with them. It's pretty neat to just kind of ride through the city. You get a chance to see things that you normally don't get a chance to see riding your bike. So that's every Monday, 7 p.m. They start at the stable down in Saginaw. Bike ride's normally about an hour to an hour and a half if you'd like to participate. And then this is just something that I saw in the city too, because people that travel by our water treatment plant know that we have a lot of geese that hang out there, and there's a lot of families. So it was kind of nice to see the residents in the cars were stopping for the geese so that they could come through. So I'm an animal lover, so I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bowles.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the citizens that came to the city council meeting to speak today. I can say one thing for sure, is the squeaky wheel is the one that normally gets the oil. So hopefully they'll be pouring a little oil or something over there on that house over there and getting rid of it. The best way to get things done is come here and express your views on getting things done here in the city of Saginaw. I'd like to thank Angie Miller and the labor people for doing what they do in the city of Saginaw. 42,000 pounds of food is a lot of food, and that's beautiful, you know, to help our citizens out here in the city of Saginaw. You know, and I think you said you had 32,000 meals that's packed in one day at my local 699, whose people, I think they changed the name from United Auto Workers to United and Working, and we don't mind working with the community, so keep up the good work, Andrew, really appreciate you. Thomas Roy with the fireworks. I don't know if you guys ask for donations the day of the fireworks, but I know a lot of people come in from all over the town, so I will, you know, the day of it, and when they're leaving out, if they like the show, you know, they can show it, you know, by putting some in their can again. Somebody want to think about doing that. I did want to mention something about, I had a neighbor that came by the house the other day, this is for the city manager, and everybody know we had a lot of rain in the city of Saginaw. We had a lot of sewage backed up in my neighborhood over there on the East Outer Drive corridor. And the guy said he did his research. He kind of find out that the sewage system over there is not adequate for the neighborhood. He says it's a little bit smaller. So I'd like to know if you can check into that and get back with me. Let me know something about that. The guy said a flood in the 80s, but this time, you know, he slipped things back in the basement. Now we got 2 or 3 dumpsters in my neighborhood, but the whole basements are messed up. So he said if it's not where it should be, then maybe he shouldn't be paying the same amount of sewage rates that everybody else paying. Maybe he can save that money to fix his basement up the next time it's flood. He came knocking on my door to tell me that, and I told him I would definitely mention that to the city manager, and I'm sure I'll get him an answer. So thank you. The Holden Jones neighborhood is doing something this weekend. I won't be able to attend that, but Mr. Dawkins did ask if I could help out. I do have a 55-inch zero radius turn lawnmower that I loaned to the other councilmen if you want to use it for the.
Bring it to us, we need it.
Just letting you know, Mr. Councilman, it's available.
Bring it on.
All right, we'll take you up on that. Does it come with delivery?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
16.
I do want to mention too about Delta College. I'm a graduate of Delta College Skills Trades Program, and unfortunately I won't be able to be there, but I really wanted to be there, so thumbs up to Delta College for doing what they do in the city of Saginaw. Please let the trustees know that we really appreciate the decision they made of bringing Delta College to the city of Saginaw. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I had a number of things I wanted to cover, but I think they've been covered once, twice, sometimes 3 times, so I'm not going to repeat. But there is one thing I'm going to do. Mr. Roy, please step up here. The fireworks group that sponsors the fireworks does an absolutely tremendous amount of work. People don't have a clue, but this is a working committee. This is not a committee that says, here's what we want done, someone else go and do it. This committee does all the work that is necessary to put on this show. And the committee brings in 100 to 120,000 people every year. Now, they've always passed the hat. The part of the problem is, at the event and throughout the time, part of the problem is people now are saying, I don't carry cash. So what they are looking for and hoping to receive more of is advance donations or donations after the fact. But they need those sponsorships, the donations from us, because this helps our community. So I have something for you.
Oh, thank you.
This is mine, my sponsorship. I'm hoping every council member will consider it worthwhile to do their own. And I'm hoping everybody who goes to the fireworks considers it an important thing to support, because it really is. It brings in a lot of people. And you have people, with the population of our city being what it is, you have more than double the population of our city visiting us. And they put on a great show. They represent the city very well, and it's important that we support it.
And just as a special note, Mr. Mayor was on our committee, and we worked him like a dog. I want to say that. We worked him like a dog.
And it finally got to be too much, so I had to move on. Thank you for all you do.
Maybe we can make a challenge for the rest of the city council to donate what you donated.
Well, open it up and tell them, but.
If you say $500, don't put my money.
Anybody else want to hear Mr.
$500.
You better not be cheap, Floyd. You're on the spot now.
I'm not.
It's a $200 donation.
You want to match it, everybody match it. All right, Michael, looking to you first.
$100.
Looking to you first. All right. Michael, it's up to you to meet that.
We are going to meet that challenge.
All right. Thank you
very much. I appreciate it,
Got
sir.
a credit card?
And that's all. I think I want to thank everyone else that's here. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. We are now at reports from the manager.
That's good.
Okay. So tomorrow, I want to remind council is the Neighborhood Association Action Group meeting here in council chambers. Also, there have been some new Downtown Development Authority rules and clarifications from the state. So the DDA is required to have an annual informational meeting for businesses and property owners in the district, and that is going to be on Tuesday, June 25th in council chambers at 3 p.m. That's right before the regular DDA meeting. And also a reminder, and I think it's the same day as Councilman or Councilwoman Scherzer's event. June 28th is the Saginaw Redevelopment Ready Certification event at the SVRC. And want to council reminder to go to that. We'll be celebrating the certification and also unveiling the city's marketing program and promotional video that Yolanda and her staff and the other members on the team have been working for. So I think that'll be really interesting for council members. So if you can attend, I highly encourage that. Councilman Milne is absolutely correct. So showed that he did read the budget. That money is for, that was referenced, $30,000 is for insurance utilities for that area. Finally, you all should have received an email from Mr. Stempel about 221 Board Court. Actually, I think the land bank, for an organization that has as many properties as that one county-wide, they have moved fairly quickly on this property. They taxes were, the final year of taxes in the period were not paid in March. They received the property of November of 2018. So that's fairly recent, and it is on the demolition list. Not unfortunately, but there is a number of steps that you go through for the demolition. One of them being that Consumers Energy has to disconnect power and gas to the property before it can be demolished. And I believe that is the point where the land bank is. They're waiting for that to happen. I don't know that we have a timetable on when that will be. I know the land bank said their goal is to have that done this year, the demolition done this year, but there are a number of properties that get to that point, so usually they're waiting on those final things in the line. But several council members mentioned we have homes and properties like that in every neighborhood, so we do work very well with the land bank, and we'll continue to do that and get these on the list and through the process as quickly as we can. We know we had a number of people come tonight, but also this was the topic at the Houghton Jones neighborhood last week about some commercial properties, which are even a little more difficult to take care of because there isn't any grant that provides funding for commercial property demolition. And in the case of those buildings, they also have potential environmental hazards that have to be resolved or analyzed prior to any demolition. So we do know the steps, and as many council members said, if you contact particularly the inspections department, they usually know where all of these troubled buildings are in the process. So even if it is a land bank building, or I know there's one not far from just off Barnard that is very similar to this property, but it is privately owned. So that presents a number of other challenges. But inspections usually knows where each property is in the process. So that is the first step. And we also have a presentation this evening. I was approached earlier this year by the city manager for Frankenmuth regarding the Cass River Water Trail Coalition, of which they are a member. And then we were subsequently approached by Mr. Zeilinger, and there's an agreement on the agenda tonight, so I'd like to invite him up to give a presentation about what the group is doing and what it is and what it means for the city.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for giving Joe Toth and myself a few minutes of your time this evening. Joe Toth is Vice Chair of our Cass River Greenway Committee, and I'm Chair. Before I get into my short PowerPoint presentation, I'd just like to make a couple points. I'm going to be inviting the City of Saginaw to be a member of the Cass River Water Trail Coalition, and assuming you agree to do that, to appoint a representative to serve on that coalition. We believe that the Cass River Water Trail Coalition is a great fit for Wicks Park and the longer-term plans that you have for that area that are actually even beginning this summer. I believe that the representative will find it not at all time-consuming. We feel maybe 2 or 3 meetings a year. And finally and importantly, there's no financial obligations to this endeavor. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Cass River Greenway, but mostly about the Cass River Water Trail Coalition. And here's the difference. The Cass River Greenway is a volunteer group, totally volunteer, no paid staff. A group that was organized basically by Joe and myself back in 2007. And along the way, we've had great cooperation and an input from various state and local agencies, as well as the communities along the river. And basically, we've been working to enhance the recreation opportunities and the environmental well-being of the Cass River corridor. More specifically, we've worked to improve recreation opportunities on the river, mostly the water trail, encouraging preservation of wildlife and fish habitat, and improving water quality. The most visible things that the public has seen has been our work on helping communities establish public access points or launches, and the annual river cleanups that we do. Every year we do about 4 to 5 miles of river cleanup. And I think this year will be our 11th annual cleanup. But we've done work in the other areas as well. About 2 years ago now, we've kind of put a stake in the ground and said, this is our Cass River Water Trail. It's 37.5 miles long. There are now 13 public access points along that stretch of the river. When we first began in 2007, I believe there were like 3, maybe 4 boat launches. There are canoes around, kayaks weren't really even in play back then. So mostly it was a matter of a boat launch when there was deep enough water. And we now have 13 public access points. There's experience zones, rural, small town, natural, mostly rural and natural. And for the most part, it's a beginner, it's a family kind of a paddle. It's not a white water, it's not a party type of atmosphere. It's more of a family experience. And there's important land connections there, land trails, the US Pike 20 and the Michigan Iron Belt Trail. This is a map, and I gave each of you a copy of it. The Cass River runs from east to west, so the beginning point for our water trail is at the M46 Cass River crossing. Some of you are maybe more familiar with the MDOT park that's there. There's a state game area parking lot right across the river, so that's our beginning point. And then about every 5 miles, there's a launch, and then the end point you can see there is Wicks Park, which we're really happy that you allowed us to use that as the end point. It's the only water trail right now that passes through undisturbed through the wildlife refuge, so you can jump in at M13 and 2.5, 3 miles further down you can get out at Wicks Park. It's really a pretty solitude, nice paddle, easy paddle. So we have various suggested trips and so forth. And at the bottom there you can see cassriverwatertrail.org. It's a relatively new website that was launched about a year ago. It's really nice, interactive, tons of pictures, videos, and it's kind of our first step toward aggressively marketing the Cass River Water Trail. So, why a coalition organization? The mission is to improve and promote public use of the water trail for recreation and tourism, and also to enhance river conservation and stewardship. So key goals of the coalition would be maintaining the lawn sites, supporting local and regional efforts to have close to home as well as tourism-based water recreation, develop community partnerships to manage the water trail, and to guide and provide oversight to the new water trail website. One of the things that the Cass River Group, as well as the Shiawassee River Trail Group and the Flint River Group, we're all looking toward achieving state and national water trail recognition status. It's a good deal for promotion activities, for getting your river highlighted on state and national maps and so forth. But one of the things that is required to achieve that status is to have and demonstrate a sustainable organization. The Cass River Water Trail, or I'm sorry, the Cass River Greenway group that I talked about is a total volunteer group. We meet about every 2 to 3 months. I publish an agenda. Whoever wants to shows up, shows up. If we're going to talk about water cleanups, those folks show up. If we're going to talk about a certain launch, they'll turn up. So it's kind of a broad-based volunteer group. It is not a sustainable organization. So that's one of the key reasons why we're going to establish a coalition. And the key stakeholders are the members. The owners of the launches are going to be the members, basically. So there's a singular focus that they have. The Cass River Greenway will have a broader focus that includes habitat and water quality, but not necessarily oversight of the water trail. And finally, does not include any financial obligation. These are the proposed members, and you can see there's members and auxiliary members. Basically, the membership are those organizations and communities that own the launches, all the way down the list there. In addition, at the bottom of the page there, you see Frankenmuth Convention and Visitors Bureau. Jamie Frobush is the president and CEO of that, and she's going to be working hard to add the promotional and marketing aspect to this whole thing. And then the Cass River Green will be a member as well. Auxiliary members are basically townships through which the river passes, but they don't own a launch. So as a matter of courtesy, we would invite them to be a member as well, just to provide some input. So we invite your organization, the City of Saginaw, to accept our invitation of membership, to appoint a representative. And we're trying to get this in by the paddling season. We're a little bit late, but so is the weather, so I think we're pretty well on track. And once we get that established, we have all of the members now recruited. This is our last stop. So as soon as we get the last representative, we'll call a meeting, and then we're going to be moving into the water trail designation application process. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Bells.
You can go from the Wicks Park and go all the way through?
No, you start, actually, Wicks Park is on the end. So if you follow the current, which is...
I mean, what I'm saying is that you can go from Wicks Park and go all the way through to the Cass River, all the way to M46 Bridge. Is all clear enough to go through there?
Okay, two things. Under normal conditions, you can get in at M46 and you can paddle all the way down to Frankenmuth.
Okay.
But you don't want to go over the rock ramp that we put in. We have a portage around there.
Okay.
You go around the rock ramp, you can put back in Frankenmuth, and you can go all the way down the river to Wicks Park.
Wow.
Except, this year we've had tons of rain, lots of floods, and a lot of dead ash trees are flowing into the river. So we currently have a couple bridges that are, M46, for instance, has a log jam, and there's another log jam in Bridgeport that we're working to fix. But basically, it's a through trip except for the rock ramp in Frankenmuth. Yes.
I just want another comment was I want to thank you for your volunteerism. It seems like the volunteers get things done from the city of Saginaw to all the way to Vassar and all the way, and I thank you for it. Another question is, you used to be one of my plant managers at Stengier?
I was. Plant 7.
Yes, sir, Plant 7.
It was the best job I ever had.
All right. Best plant I ever worked in.
Thank you. Any secrets now?
Well, it's been a while. It's been a while. I was there about a year ago.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right.
A lot of change.
Good to see you.
Anybody else? Any others? No other questions? I do want to say thank you. It certainly looks like a wonderful project.
Yes.
That connects up a lot of communities in a different way
Right.
that hasn't been done before.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I probably should have emphasized more. The coalition, probably the biggest benefit to the communities is just the relationships between the communities and the collaboration that can occur.
Well, it does expose a lot of people perhaps to the National Wildlife Refuge who have not been exposed to it, to our Wicks Park.
Mm-hmm.
So there's potential there for all the communities to benefit from this,
Yes.
including Saginaw.
Yes.
There's always the concern, just to briefly express it, about making sure people stick to the designated access sites.
Mhm.
We're on a public waterway, and people who might stray from that could create problems for the residents who are on the river. So I'm sure you're dealing with that. I'm sure you're aware of that. So enough said on that, but I think it's a wonderful program, so
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, that concludes the management update.
All right, then we are...
Your next order of business, Mayor, is the consent agenda.
Thank you. The consent agenda has been available at City Hall, on the city website, and on SGTV Channel 191. Are there any exceptions to be noted by the clerk before we go through the consent agenda? Any exceptions? Anybody? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve all the items on the consent.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? It's carried. Madam Clerk.
We are now at boards, commissions, and
Are there any boards, commissions, or committee reports to be brought before council? Any reports? Any reports? None, Madam Clerk?
Mayor, our next business is appointment of board and commission members.
There are two, and we would ask, is there a motion to approve the mayoral appointment of Richard Spitzer to the Saginaw Economic Development Corporation with the term to expire June 30th, 2022? Moved. It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And is there a motion to acknowledge the mayoral appointment of Cindy Childs to the Saginaw Housing Commission with a term to expire September 30th, 2020?
So moved.
We acknowledge
Well,
it.
it's acknowledgement. It's not, yeah, no motions needed, but is that
we
satisfactory?
acknowledge.
Yes.
All right, all right. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at resolutions. We do have one this evening, and it's to establish a sister city with Amanakram, Ghana.
Is there a motion to adopt the?
So moved.
Support. It has been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Next.
Miscellaneous business.
Is there any other business, unfinished, or items to be brought up? Councilmember Milne.
This is for the manager in light of the presentation about the Cass River Coalition. Would it be most correct to ask for preparation of a resolution to be brought to us at a future meeting to, if we wish to join this coalition?
You just
And-
did on the consent
We just did. It's in the,
Oh, I missed that one then.
the resolution we're talking is to do that.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Shot right by me.
So, is there any other business then? Any other business? Councilman Balls?
I'd like to know if it's proper that I can put this on that commission to be the person to represent it.
Well, I guess, why don't you restate for the clerk? She did not hear you.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, what, hold on. All right.
I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Mills be the person that's appointed to that commission to be the liaison between the city and the commission.
All right, that was part of the resolution.
Is that how we do appointments?
Yeah.
No, not
how we do
Not
appointments.
normally.
No.
No. It was item number 11 on the consent agenda.
Number 11.
I'm not sure what was in the agreement on how to
I don't have an issue
appoint
with it being on
someone.
it, but that's not how we appoint anyone else to anywhere else.
Okay.
That is true. So,
No problem.
we
We get him there another, right?
Yeah, is there, there is a motion made, so is there a second on the motion? If there's no second, it dies. No second, so it dies. All right. And we will look at that as a regular appointment issue. And Mr. Milne could consider, if he's interested, he could file.
We have people that aren't on boards yet that want to be on boards. So I don't know if that's something they want. I don't know. That's for the committee.
Anybody who's interested has a right to ask to be appointed. So, okay. Any further discussion or any further issues or motions or unfinished business?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.